Hi, welcome to the Spirit of Winter podcast show, where we have conversations on resiliency, personal growth, spiritual growth, health, and empowering others to rise and shine. I'm your host, Marilyn Fitzgerald, and today's topic is called Stop Making Suffering Comfortable. Stop making suffering comfortable. And most of us don't even realize that we made suffering comfortable. We talk about wanting change. But deep down, we adjusted to the pain. We adjusted to the pain. And I found myself personally in the same situation. And this is where I get to have the conversation with you and hope that not only I just help myself, but I'm helping other people too. We're living in times right now where people are experiencing suffering of many kinds. And sometimes people don't realize or even know that what they're experiencing is and don't really know how to get out of it. What I will share with you today is just a list of things that might be defined as suffering and give you some choices as to how you can help yourself during uncertain times so you don't make it a habit. Today's topic is eye opener and very personal again. And what I know for sure is suffering is a choice. What I know also is that it's not the highest version of myself or others to suffer when you know who you truly are. And so, how do I know? Because over a decade ago, I had at the time in my life all what I think would make people happy, from money to many other material possessions. But it was a point where I had to sit down and say, really happy, or do I feel fulfilled? Fulfillment is another word. Am I happy or do I feel fulfilled? That curiosity led me to wanting to know why I have everything I said I wanted, and I'm still not experiencing the degree of fulfillment or happy is that the average person be like, what's wrong with you? And so I decided to study and sign up to study at the Johnny Coleman Institute for Better Living. And what I'll share with you that I did not know, it comes from scripture, Proverbs 7:7. It's based on the fact that the primary cause of suffering is forgetfulness. Forgetfulness, I am a child of God and that I am a spiritual being. And two, the second cause of suffering is wrong thinking that causes me and others to believe that we are separate from God. And so when these years ago, I looked at this and I was like, whoa, I was trying to think at the time that because I had these things that they were making me happy, but it was a short-term happiness. And this is where I got to move closer to who I really was as a spiritual being instead of a human being. And I had to tell you that for years I've enjoyed having this awareness of truth, and it has rewarded me in so many ways to stay steadfast on this truth. But recently I had some experiences where I got to sit down and look at me, what was going on with me, and see that there has been consistent behavior and reactions and experiences that has been going on a little bit longer than I am choosing to tolerate, that I felt that I come forth to share with you with the idea of hoping not only it helped me, but also help you. But it had not been a topic or issue that I had dealt with in the past. It's just something that just I'm seeing like, why is it considered to be a problem now? And when I went back and to look at my habits, the reactions, and everything, I was very consciously taking actions to resolve this. But what I saw was I had to do a deeper dive. If you ever been in a situation, I don't know what you might be going through, but here is just some topics that might describe suffering: constant worry, overwhelm, money struggles, scarcity, body pain, overweight. It could be not happy with yourself, or maybe it's anything that you just find where you're giving more of your attention to something and you want to change, or and it's still the same. There's a whole list of other things. But when I look at me being in the health and wellness industry, when I work with clients that want to release weight, this is where I get to have the conversation with them. It just don't focus on the physical body. Let's just see what's going on with inside of you so that we don't repeat the behaviors. So for me, I just got to look at my situation and deep dive. What I know for sure now that I didn't know before was, according to Dr. Joe Dispenza, is the higher the experience that you might have or I might have that brought about more trauma or was more impactful or life changing, the higher impression it was on your mind, meaning it has a more of a long term presence in your memory. When I thought about this topic, I said, I really didn't have issues with this particular topic for years. Why is it coming back? Or why is it I'm having it now? I learned that I had to go back to childhood and go to see where this pattern, maybe a belief that I picked up, that now it's starting to show up. And what I did was I did some work on it, meaning I did techniques that would bring the energy, the fear, the energy around this topic, that it to give me to a point of having the awareness that I have right now to have this conversation with you. And so I don't know what you're experiencing right now. I just know that things are very challenging for a lot of people. And when this is like this, for me, I try to go closer to my spiritual identity instead of my human identity. Because I just shared with you that I don't want to suffer. And if I make it a habit of suffering, then it's on me that I'm thinking the right thoughts, what kind of thoughts I'm thinking, what kind of beliefs I have, and what emotions that I'm allowing to control me and to have me to believe that I have no control over my reacting to it. And so when I started working on me and doing this, I just found myself going higher and higher and higher. And we define it as frequency. And I know this is a little bit more of a advanced training for you, but when we are in fear, when we experiencing anxiety, when we are experiencing resistance, meaning we are trying to push something away that we don't want, what it does is lower our level of energy or frequency, just like tuning in a radio dial. If you're not at a certain frequency when you tune in, you will not tune in to listening to the topic or music that you like. And so with me having this awareness, even though I was putting action toward changing a situation, the frequency, the emotions was still the one thing that was keeping it away from me. And so this is where I get to share with you what can help you. And that is, you have to change your identity. The primary cause of suffering is the identification problem. Being less human and more spiritual. And I tell you, for me, I'm grateful I studied over 10 years to get this knowledge and to have it to be to a point where I can go back to it, to reset myself, to be responsible for responding to uncertain situations, but having more of a sense of not being a victim, but knowing that I have dominion over my thoughts, my beliefs, and my behavior. I'm going to encourage you to seek out some spiritual support in terms of awareness so that you can come to your awareness of who you are as a spiritual being and to own that because it's pretty powerful. Two is taking responsibility. What I learned is that our lives are a reflection of what's going on inside of us. And however, whoever and whatever's showing up is matching our beliefs, our thoughts that's showing up on the screen. And as we look in a mirror, the only thing we can change is our beliefs, our thoughts, and our feelings about ourselves so that we can attract a higher version of ourselves. And three is to track. Some of you know that I publish a wellness journal and I use it in my practice personally and I also work with clients in helping them be aware of it. One thing you need to do, and I know for sure, is that you have to be aware. 95% of our behavior is unconscious. What does that mean? That means that you can walk into a room or you can respond to a situation, but you might not be aware of how you're thinking, how you're feeling, and what your beliefs are. And how do you become aware of it is you pay attention. You start tracking it. And this is why I wrote the journal that I had, The Spirit of a Winner. Three is to four, is three or four, is to get some coaching. Have someone that will hold you accountable for an outcome that you're looking to achieve. Because as one of the speakers that I listened to recently, it says, the higher version of you or a higher choice of you always come with the devil. It's a different devil, a different state of mind or different thought or belief systems. And every time we start to elevate, it's going to come forth. It's going to want to purge out of us. But to have someone close to you that you trust and believe that will hold you in a space and to coach you through those spaces of higher levels to get you where you need to go is where I got to invest a lot of money over the years and still do to get the support I need because, as I said earlier, suffering is a choice and I know better. And I know that I have to not only invest time and money, but I want to see this a way where I could see a better version of myself express itself. And lastly, I will share with you is this. Don't beat yourself up. When you hear this might be triggering some of you at one point of why is this happening or whatever. Don't beat yourself up. Just decide that you want to change and that no matter what's happening in the world, that when you are really strong in your awareness and your spiritual person as identity, I can tell you from my experience, the things that you need and what you need will come forth to you. So if you have a particular topic that you know is triggering you, whatever, put it in the chat. If you want to learn more information on how I work with people, what I've learned and some techniques too, reach out to me. And if you like what you've heard so far, I encourage you to like, subscribe, and share with someone. And so in the meantime, I'll see you on our next episode. Have an amazing day.